My name is Harold Bennett, and I'm 81 years old. I'm sitting alone in a small house that's too quiet now, thinking about how much of my life I spent trying to be good enough for other people, and how little of it I spent asking whether I was enough for myself. I'm not telling this because I need forgiveness. I'm past that. I'm telling it because time has made everything very clear, and clarity doesn't do much good when there isn't much road left. Most mornings, I wake up before the sun, not because I want to. My body just does it now. I sit on the edge of the bed for a while, listening to the house settle, feeling the stiffness in my knees, the ache in my hands. There are photos on the dresser, faces that once filled rooms, voices. I spent 35 years chasing approval, not in any dramatic way, no big speeches, no conscious plan, just a steady habit of wanting to be seen as dependable, impressive, respectable. Someone others could point to and say, he did it right. I thought that mattered. When I was younger, in my 20s, I didn't feel lost. I felt focused. I got a job at an accounting firm downtown. Nothing glamorous, but it paid well enough, and my parents were proud. That mattered more to me than I realized. My father didn't say much, but when he did, it stayed with you. He believed in hard work, in keeping your head down, in earning your place. When he nodded at me and said, "That's a good company," I felt like I'd passed some invisible test. So I stayed. I worked late. Everyone did. That was the culture. Nobody forced me. I volunteered. I wanted my name to come up in meetings. I wanted partners to remember me. I wanted to be the guy they could rely on. At home, my wife Ellen would heat up dinner and leave it on the stove. Sometimes she'd sit at the table with a book, pretending she wasn't waiting. Sometimes she'd already be asleep when I got in. I noticed I just didn't stop. We had 2 kids, Mark first, then Susan 3 years later. I loved them. I really did. But love, I've learned, isn't just a feeling. It's time. And I treated time like something I could borrow endlessly. I missed school plays because of end-of-quarter deadlines. I missed dinners because a client needed something revised. I told myself I was doing it for them, for security, for their future. That story worked for a long time. Weekdays blurred together, commutes, meetings, coffee that tasted burnt fluorescent lights. On weekends, I was tired. I'd sit on the couch and half listen while the kids talked. Ellen would ask if I could help with something and I'd sigh without meaning to. I didn't think she noticed. She did. There were moments, small ones, Susan asking if I could read to her and me saying, "In a minute," without looking up. Mark wanting me to come outside and throw a ball, and me saying, "Maybe tomorrow." Tomorrow always felt reasonable. At work, things went well. Promotions came. My title got longer. My office got bigger. People asked for my opinion. Younger employees watched how I did things. I became someone. At home, I was slowly becoming a stranger. I didn't see it as damage. There was no explosion, no shouting matches, just a gradual quiet. Ellen stopped asking as much. The kids stopped expecting me. They filled the space with other people, other interests. I told myself that was normal. Kids grow up, marriages settle. Life isn't supposed to feel exciting all the time. That's what I said. In my 40s, the cracks were there if I'd been brave enough to look. Ellen would mention feeling lonely, and I'd take it as criticism. I'd defend myself. I worked hard. I provided. Wasn't that love? We never learned how to talk about it properly. Conversations stayed on the surface. Schedules, bills, logistics. The deeper things felt too complicated, too risky. So we avoided them. I kept chasing approval from bosses, from clients, from people who would retire and forget my name within a year. Each compliment gave me a small rush, like proof that the sacrifices were worth it. But approval doesn't last. You need more of it, again and again. The kids grew into teenagers. They were busy. I was busy. We shared a house more than a life. When Mark graduated high school, I shook his hand and told him I was proud. It felt formal. I didn't know how to bridge the distance that had grown. Susan hugged me, but it was quick. She had friends waiting. Ellen and I became polite, cordial. We didn't fight much, which I took as a good sign. In hindsight, it wasn't. It meant we'd both stopped expecting things from each other. The turning point didn't arrive with a crash. It came quietly, like everything else. Ellen got sick when I was 58. At first it was fatigue, then tests, then a word nobody wants to hear, cancer, aggressive. The doctor spoke carefully, but the meaning was clear. Suddenly, work didn't matter the same way. I took time off. I sat in hospital rooms holding her hand, listening to machines hum. I tried to talk, to apologize, to make up for lost years in short conversations. But time doesn't work like that. She didn't blame me. That almost made it worse. She said she knew I'd tried in my own way. She said she hoped the kids would be okay. She worried about me being alone. I remember thinking, even then, that it shouldn't have taken this to wake me up. Ellen died on a Tuesday morning. The room was quiet. I was there. I wish I could say I felt peace. Mostly I felt shock. And underneath that, a deep, aching knowledge that there were things we would never say now. After the funeral, people told me how devoted I'd been at the end. They said she was lucky to have me. I nodded and thanked them. I didn't correct them. The house felt enormous afterward. Every sound echoed. I went back to work sooner than I should have. It gave me structure. It gave me a place where I didn't have to feel everything all at once. The kids called, but their lives were full. Careers, families. I didn't want to intrude. I told myself they were better off focusing on their own worlds. That story worked too. I retired at 67. There was a party, speeches, a plaque with my name engraved. People clapped. I smiled. I took it home and put it in a drawer. The next morning I woke up with nowhere to go. That's when it really hit me. When there was no job left to justify the years I'd spent away. No deadlines to hide behind. Just long days and a quiet phone. Mark visits on holidays. Susan calls every few weeks. We're polite, kind. There's love there, but it's careful, like something fragile that was never fully built. I don't blame them. They learned who I was by watching where I put my time. There are things I can't fix now. I can't go back to those evenings. I can't be the man Ellen needed when it mattered most. I can't give my kids memories they never got to have. I live with that. If you're listening to this, I'm not here to tell you what to do. I wouldn't listen to that either. I just want you to know what I didn't. Approval is a poor substitute for connection. Productivity doesn't hold your hand when you're scared. Being respected by strangers won't keep you warm at night. I thought there would be time later to be present. I was wrong. Now, my days are simple. I make coffee. I read the paper. I sit by the window and watch people pass by, all of them convinced they're in the middle of something important. Maybe they are. I don't have much time left. I can feel that. And I'm finally honest with myself. That has to be enough. If this meant something to you, if it stirred something uncomfortable, you don't have to do anything about it right away. Just notice it. That's more than I did for a long time. I'm Harold. I lived a full life by most measures. and I missed more of it than I ever expected.